Hello everyone, it is finally me, what you've all been waiting for, the elusive third Coen brother, here to share all the inside secrets of the masterpiece that is Fargo. So, without further ado, let's get into it and let's look at some scenes and let's see what it's really all about.
It was over and I thought I made myself very clear.
Oh, you did. You made yourself perfectly clear. But something's come up.
What?
Well, it's something kind of small, but it might be a big problem. I'm pregnant.
Huh?
I'm pregnant. I've had a doctor's test. I've got the certificates, and there's no doubt about it. I'm going to have your baby.
Now, look, sir, I can explain this. See, Robin is a student of mine, and
You should see the other guy.
You took care of all of her.
No, it wasn't anything like that. You don't understand.
Oh, I read that letter she wrote. I think I understand all there is.
Fuck happened to her?
She started shrieking, you know.
Jesus.
In this first scene here, I'm going to talk mainly about Gare Grimsrud, who is seen sitting at the TV watching a soap opera while eating a TV dinner, and he seems very focused on it, even though when they pan from a shot of his face to a frame of the TV, it's almost like you can barely make out any kind of facial expressions or barely even what's going on in the TV show. Yet Gare is completely invested in this alternate reality that he takes part of as part of the daily human experience. And throughout the movie, Gare is really portrayed as almost more of an animal than human. He's a very instinctual person. He doesn't necessarily think about repercussions before acting on something. And he does all of this without showing any regret or emotion towards really anything. Carl gives him a hard time for not talking at all in the car at one point, and that really kind of sums up who he is. He doesn't utter much up until this point, and in this scene is really the first time that you get even a little ounce of what seems like normal human emotion to Gare. As the scene continues, we hear on the TV that one of the characters is pregnant, and she announces this to her boyfriend on the show, and there's sort of this conflict at hand, and Gare recognized this, and we get sort of a gasp of astonishment from Gare that he's surprised. It seems like he's almost affected by what this character has brought up in this TV show that seems so far disconnected from the type of life that Gare is living. Then when we see Carl enter into the home after his exchange with Wade and the ransom money, Carl enters with a gruesome cut all over his face, bloodied up face. Gare is seen looking up from the TV for a moment with a very blank look on his face, like he really does not even care that his partner is so injured. They exchange some random pleasantries, and Gare returns to watching the TV show like nothing has happened. It's almost like really Carl was just an annoyance to him and keeping him from what he really wanted, which is to watch the TV. Furthermore, we find out that Gare has killed Jean because she was shouting and interrupted his time watching his soap opera. And he just does this out of pure instinct, out of his pure kind of animal, naturalistic, without thinking, just does what he needs to do in the moment. And through the way that Gare is portrayed in this scene and through what he's doing, I think this really is emphasizing how the media and pop culture fixation that comes with postmodernism has really created a disconnect of humanity from reality itself, and sort of taken away the dignity that comes with humanity, and really just results in humans turning into pure instinctual animals, acting as either prey or predator. I think this is seen pretty obviously with Gare in this scene. He's very narrow-minded in that he's sitting there watching his TV show. Any sort of interruption to that is seen as just a nuisance or a problem that has to be dealt with in the most basic way that he knows how, which is killing. You know, Gene is shrieking, interrupting what he's watching, and he just thinks, oh, this has to stop. And he kills her. So, and Carl ends up meeting the same fate after, you know, they have an argument about splitting up the ransom money in the car, but anything out of the normal for Gare, he just sees as an issue and something that he has to deal with in his most basic way that he knows how to, as a predator. And I think it's probably not hard to see throughout the movie that Gare is certainly a predator and has this kind of animalistic instinct, but he's also not very different from the rest of humanity in that he has this very distinct disconnection from reality and kind of pictures it as this illusion of what is happening, like he's watching some sort of TV show and can just manipulate things.
We're back with Katie Carlson.
Hi.
Now, before we get going here, we just want to remind all of our viewers at home that this March, for the second year in a row, Katie and I, along with Twin City Travel, will be leading a 2-week riverboat trip down the Nile. It's a terrific time. I know you've heard about it, and we want all of you to come with. And that's the truth. Okay, now, for those of you who just joined us, Katie here this morning is going to show us how to make holidazzle eggs ourselves at home. Now, Katie, I got to admit,
What?
I was a little bit surprised when I first picked this up.
Right.
This is an empty egg.
That's right, Dale.
Well, how do you get the egg? There was an egg in here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't, how do you, I mean, you don't have an empty chicken somewhere that lays empty eggs?
No, I guarantee this was an honest-to-goodness, great...
The second scene that I'm looking into is where Gene is kidnapped by Gare and Carl. Specifically starting with Jean seated on the couch in the Lundegaard family home. She's seen knitting a scarf of some sort and viewing a daytime television program. From the way the scene is shot and the sort of gleeful, normal attitude that Jean has leads you to believe that this is part of her normal routine. She seems happy with this. Everything seems good in the life of Jean Lundegaard. However, as the shot pans out from the TV and you start to see a large figure wearing a ski mask, who we later learn is Gare, outside on the porch of the Lundegaard family home, looking in through the big French windows with a crowbar. We then see Jean's facial expression as she notices what's happening outside her home, and she's rooted to the spot in disbelief and really is unsure of what's happening. She can't even process what's happening and doesn't, it seems very odd for a moment that she's not jumping up and trying to flee instantly after seeing this, that she's become almost so desensitized to what's real and is simply just trying to normalize something that seems so far outside of what could happen to her in her daily life. We then, after, see essentially the decay of all of her humanity and she just simply results to her natural instincts and becomes the prey in the situation and is fully departed from what is real, in the sense that she can't believe that something so horrible would happen to her, that it seems almost unbelievable for a second. And when she finally realizes what's happening to her, she loses all sense of reason and what makes a human so capable of doing so many things in our reality. I think this scene at hand does a great job of highlighting how alienated humanity really is from reality due to this dependency on media culture. We have Jean here, who has a profound experience when she sees Gare about to attack her and enter her home, and she's not able to immediately react in the right way to something like this, something so abnormal, something so out of her routine, because she's so used to these routine habits that she goes through on a normal day-to-day basis that she simply just can't believe that something like this would happen to her. She's almost thinking that it couldn't be happening to her. She's really trying to battle against what's happening to her and trying to normalize it or filter it out in some way, that she doesn't have to deal with it, simply because she's fallen into this sort of normalcy, this redundant way of living a day-to-day life that she isn't able to really, she misses the meaning from such an important experience, and in the end leads to her downfall, and she is captured by Gare and Carl. What's happening to Jean is so fundamentally real that she simply cannot deal with what is happening and wants to keep it at bay, and has to view it for a moment at such a dissociated stance, such a dissociated position, that it seems like she's almost looking at something that could happen on a TV show to one of these characters that she's used to watching, and that it could be simply something that she could laugh off or just view as being so far apart from her that it's merely an illusion. So to really bring these two scenes together now, I think that they both serve to show how a human's reliance on routine habits and living a normal day-to-day life and a dependency on media culture has caused a further alienation of humanity from what is real, in the sense of what reality is and what is happening in front of them. We get these two seemingly very different characters in these two scenes, but are having the same sort of instinctual reaction to something that is outside of what feels like their normal routine. And to them it doesn't feel normal, and they're desensitized to this through this feeling that everything is just an illusion, that it's not, nothing bad could really happen to them, that it's so unimaginable that they can't even bring it to fruition. It could only be a thought, much as it is in TV. You have these, it's a false sense of what is real, that they feel so disconnected from what is in their life that they can't even handle that, and they have to normalize it and put it at bay in order to handle it in some sort of way. Humans are so fundamentally disconnected from reality that it feels like they might be even watching a TV show that is their life, and that what is happening to them is happening in a sense that they can see it, but it's not having any real effect on themselves, on their emotions. It's not, they can't feel the repercussions because they don't have the sense that it is actually taking place in reality. Because humans have to feel this sense of routine and habitual normalness, that anything outside of this normal routine that we feel safe in or comfortable in, albeit it might be boring, anything outside of that seems so incomprehensible that we can't even think of it as being something real. We have to think of it in this dissociated manner. And I think this is really just serving to plaster over the real truth in that humanity and humans are really just a bunch of talking animals, prey and predator. It really simply just comes down to that underneath it all. Without some sort of routine to follow every day to seem like we're accomplishing something, that there's no real dignity to any of it, and that the universe really is purposeless and